Doc and I will be discussing student exchange program to Japan coming up next.
That meet my educational and career goals.
With opportunities outside the classroom.
Where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome to Community Watch. Victor.
Hey, Doc.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Victor Hickson, I appreciate you for taking Greg's place for several shows. He's involved in several robotics projects, so something was going on with that.
Right. That's cool. You know, Doc, anytime you need me, you can call me.
Yeah.
So I run a tight schedule, but I'll put some things to the side for you guys.
Well, I do appreciate it, and you have a little fan club out there. I mean, neither one of us can approach Greg's fan club, which is pretty massive,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Greg, he's a popular guy.
Yeah. Well, we are talking about a student exchange program to Japan. It's actually been in existence for some number of years now.
Okay, all right.
And I have not been to Japan. Have you been to Japan?
I have not been to Japan. But growing up in school, I had a lot of friends from Japan, and I think for a child to be exposed to different cultures, it's a good thing, especially at an early age.
So your friends did not invite you to come visit them in Japan?
It's funny because I imagine if I could get in touch with them, they would, because they were childhood friends. We all went to school together, and when we kind of graduated, we just kind of spread apart. We keep in touch through social media, and I imagine if I asked to go, they probably would go half on the ticket or something.
Well, maybe we can hook you up. We'll have to find out today. Our guest is City Commissioner Wendy Davis, who's involved in this program. She's going to have all of the information and let us know what the deal is. So don't go away. We'll be back with our guest right after this.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're very happy to have with us Rome City Commissioner Wendy Davis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be with you. Nice to have my substitute Greg. Bigger smile, but a lot of enthusiasm. Vic, good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
All right, so this program is several years old because I remember George Pullen was
instrumental
in getting it started.
Right.
So how long has it been going?
Well, it's been going more than a dozen years. And
wow.
Yes, it's we've had a number. It's a cultural exchange program that predominantly involves students that the City of Rome is very heavily involved in, but also just a private organization, the Rome Floyd International Association, really does all the legwork to put it together. So in one year, students from Japan will come here, and in a subsequent year, students from Rome will go there. So our last trip of taking students there was 2015, and they sent students here in 2017, and we're sending students back to Japan in 2018.
And they're all middle school?
Yes, we are, the target are middle schoolers, so folks going into 8th or 9th grade next year. So, 13, 14-year-olds, so they're old enough to travel in this exciting way and soak all that culture in.
What are the qualifications for the students to be in the exchange program?
Well, I tell you, it's a little bit of variety, right? The most important factor is a willingness to have this adventure, right? So they're going to travel halfway around the world, right, and they'll be staying for 7 or 8 days with a Japanese family each night. During the day, we'll have cultural and educational programs that we all do together, but in the evenings, they go back to stay just that one student with a Japanese family. And the way we do it is we match them up with a family that has a student approximately their age, right? But generally speaking, that family doesn't speak English. And generally speaking, our students who go don't speak Japanese. Right. So there's a lot of the universal language of sign language, right? We do some cultural training, a teeny bit of language training before they go, but the beauty of today's smartphones is you type in what you say and you hand it to your buddy and it says it in Japanese, and they type it in Japanese back and hand it to you. So, so the language barrier was actually less complicated than I was expecting. I was lucky enough to go in 2015 and lead the delegation on behalf of the city, and that's an adventure like I had never had. I've been to Europe before and had some language barriers, but I was blessed to stay with the host family of Chiyuki Murakami, and he is actually the founder of the program. He came looking for a city similar to the city he was from in Japan to start to create this program, and ended up finding George, and be happy to talk more about the start of that if you'd like.
Well, before we get to that, I'm curious about why the focus on middle school age as opposed to older students.
Right. I think that they may have landed on it initially is because that's the group that wanted to come here from Japan. I'm not sure of those origins, but my sense of it is middle schoolers are not yet scared. Do you know what I'm saying? There's something about getting a little bit older and a little more mature that you would think would maybe make you bolder, but in a lot of ways it makes you more nervous about things that are different. I think there's that sort of soaking things up that you get in middle schoolers that makes that ideal.
Too, middle schoolers are so open-minded, and if you go over there and see certain things before you get in high school, by the time you're in high school, you're supposed to start preparing yourself for graduation, and how the world is moving now to like global. Seeing those things as a middle schooler exposes you to a whole lot. By the time you get in high school, you're prepared, or at least have an idea of some things that you may want to do once you graduate. Ms. Davis, do these students, do they hold a relationship with the families when they go?
Right. What we try to do is connect them via email and social media before they go, right? So we will send a list of here are 8 or 12 students who are going, and then our hosts over there will match them up with families. And then when they on their end have done that matching them up with families, they'll send that information back, and then we'll connect the kids and the parents via social media and email. So they have a little bit of knowledge about each other before they go. Right. And then, of course, when they're there, it's amazing how connected you can be with another family in a week's time. And I think many of them have carried on, relationships again with the internet and social media and email. It's really easy to stay connected, and it creates lifelong friendships.
Yep.
Well, it would be interesting to see the folks that went in the first year or two, especially because that's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, adults,
Yeah.
big way adults now.
Yeah, so it's fun. Some of the students who were students in the exchange have become young adult leaders in the exchange, one way or the other. And like one of the girls who came to Rome when we went to visit in Japan, she had stayed with one of the families that then was sending a kid from Rome to Japan. So she came home from college to visit while she was there, right? So that was lovely.
So let's talk about the origins a little bit.
Okay.
I remember that Dr. Pullen was involved, instrumental in getting started, but that's really about all I know.
Right. Well, so the really interesting thing is Chiyuki-san, as we lovingly call him, was looking for a city in the south that was similar to their very small city, Ueki Town, in Japan. And they had a civil war that was pretty contemporaneous with our Civil War. And Ueki Town was the site of one of the big Civil War battles. So he was looking for a city in the south that had a similar composition to them and had a Civil War battle. That's sort of his area of history that interests him. And he was actually first pointed to Kennesaw. And then when he studied about Kennesaw, he felt like it was a little too much of a bedroom community of Atlanta and not enough of its own community. And somebody said, well, Rome's kind of cute. It's up the street. And somehow he and George Pullen connected, and sort of, the rest is history.
Huh.
So
apparently there have been a few years skipped along the way.
Yes.
But for the most part,
it's been sort of back and forth and back and forth. To be frank with you, the Japanese students have come here more frequently than our students have gone there. I got involved heavily in 14. Unfortunately, one of the very difficult conversation I had to make is I had to call Chiyuki-san and tell him that Georgia passed away, because George was leading their visit here in 2014. So his widow Ann Pullen and Ruth Demeter and I, who are leading the International Association, we had to find all these things that were mostly in George's head and put together that visit. So that was my first, I had seen it before that, but that's the first time I got heavily involved. And then was, again, lucky enough to go in 15 and take the students. And I'd love to talk to you about that transition in 15 too. We had another interesting piece. I don't know when our break is. So.
Do the students, every time they go, it's normally, do they go to the same town? Same town?
Yes, well that will help me. So the smaller town, Ueki Town it's called, were the original partners with Rome in this program. And between 2014 and 2015, I forget the exact timing of it, a larger city, Kumamoto City, sort of gobbled up Ueki Town. So when I went, not in a literal way, but in a annexation kind of way. And so when I went in 2015, I was able to sign a new friendship agreement with the larger city. So it was very formal and very, it was fun, but it was nice. So the larger city, and we had a little nervousness that the bigger city, I mean, they have relationships with like San Antonio and Berlin and much larger cities around the world than Rome, but thankfully they were happy to take us on. So,
has that changed any aspects of
it did. So part of it, their cities spend a lot of money on these trips. Rome spends a little bit of money on these trips. So we had to, part of the reason we skipped 16 was because their budget year was not aligned right with the school year for us to plan it. So that's why there was the gap there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
And so in addition to going to, we're mostly based in Ueki Town still, which is a part of Kumamoto City. So we also most of our adventures are in that Kumamoto City area, but we also spend 2 days in Kyoto, usually at the end of the trip. So they get sort of that big city experience too as tourists.
So did we say how many kids in total that are going or in the program?
Well, we took 8 of us went in 15. 8 students went, and 4 adults in 15. And we are looking. Our goal is between 8 and 12 to go this coming year, this coming spring.
Well, I know we're coming up on our break in a few seconds here. So when we get back, I want to hear more details about what students need to do, and who else may be going along this time, if you even know yet. A lot more to talk about quick break here. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're talking with Rome City Commissioner Wendy Davis about the student exchange to Japan, which is coming up in the next year, 2018. It's our turn to send a group to Japan.
Yes.
And this is this year 13 or is this year 12?
It's longer than that.
Really?
It is, and I apologize. I should have looked that date
Well, that's
up
all right.
and
That's
didn't
all right.
when I came. But it's been more than a dozen years, and we've had, I think, 13 or 14
Well, that's
groups,
impressive. That's impressive.
going. It's a very long-standing program.
So you're looking for 8 to 12 students.
Yes.
And how many adults or?
Well, the city will send someone. We haven't figured out who that is yet, to officially, represent the delegation.
Right.
It's been city commissioners before. It's been city staff members before. We typically have someone who's a teacher who goes with us, an educator. We've already had 2 or 3 parents say, "Ooh, I'd like to go," who were host families.
Yeah.
When the students came here this year.
Okay.
So I'm really, I don't think we'll have a hard time finding the adults to go with us this time. And I don't think we'll have a hard time finding the students, but it's always that sort of, people go, "Oh, that's interesting," and then don't necessarily do the follow-up, or their parents don't agree it's as interesting as they think it is. And so the trip will be right when school lets out. We don't have the exact dates yet because it's too far out to book the plane tickets, and so we try to save as much money we can as, play that plane ticket game. But somewhere between May 27th and June 6th of 2018 will be the trip.
For how long again?
It's right at 6 or 7 nights in Kumamoto City and 2 nights in Kyoto.
Okay.
So
that's a good trip.
yeah,
That is a good trip.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for young people to really experience another culture in a non-touristy way. Again, that last part in Kyoto City is pretty darn touristy, but before that, you really, they get a chance to get to know the families and learn about their daily life. We go and visit the schools over there and spend a day we sit in on a music class and a calligraphy class, and the students there do these amazing, very elaborate performances for our delegation.
And you went in 2015.
I
right?
did.
So what was it like representing Rome in Japan?
Well, it was, we're not as formal as they are. I mean, there are some areas in American government that are pretty formal, but so I was a little nervous about the formality and the translating everything, and again, because we were doing a pretty big ask to be on par with cities like Berlin and San Antonio, which are, the staff member from Kumamoto, who was our guide and organized a lot of the elements that the city was responsible for on our trip. She had spent a year in the exchange program living in San Antonio working that program. So
Wow.
They were used to much bigger programs with these much bigger cities. So I was trying to make sure I didn't mess anything up or violate protocols or not stand straight enough, not hand the gift with 2 hands, all these cultural differences.
I wonder if some of the, because the world is not as big as we think it is. And we have a lot of companies here from Japan. And I wonder what are their influences, or if there are any influence that go along with the exchange program.
Well, I would love for them to help subsidize these trips for the young people. And it's something that we haven't, frankly, done a good job of putting those asks out there. But I'm going to sign you up to help me
because,
make those asks this year, because it's an expensive trip because it's so long.
And you know, and we always think of Rome as being the ant that's in the room, meaning it's a small city, but we have resources here to compete with those larger cities. And if we were to get with a lot of those companies and plug into those resources, those 8 students might turn to 16.
Right.
So we never knew. And I just wonder about those relationships.
Well,
but that's pretty much what it's all about.
Yeah, well, we were really blessed in 15 that a gentleman, Greg Whitaker, who works for F&P, which is one of the Japanese companies here, his wife, Minako Fukui, is Japanese. And so we were really blessed that they were able to do the trip with us. And since, particularly since they both have, she's a native Japanese speaker, and his Japanese language skills are really fantastic. So it helped to have them be a part of our delegation, and it helps. They've been involved in the association since and helped with us hosting this past year. So that's a nice way that we've started to make that connection.
And so for parents or even middle school students who are watching, who are interested, what do they do?
They need to just reach out. They can go, we have a Facebook page, the Rome Floyd International Association, but it's just at Rome International Association on Facebook, or they can email me. My email's really easy, Wendy, my first name, the number 4, Rome @gmail. They can email and say they're interested. We're working on putting together an interest form for them to fill out, but in the meantime, just say, hey, we're interested, I'd like to learn more. We've got a little brochure that we can send them.
So what's the Facebook again?
Rome International Association, everything's spelled out.
Okay. And other than age or grade and just an interest, is there any other
we do have them fill out an application to basically they have to show an interest, right? And say, what kind of vision they have for what this exchange could mean for their lives. It's not like a graded essay where we take off if they don't have their commas right, but it's basically you've got to have some sort of hoop to jump through besides raising the money to go. And again, the most expensive part of the trip is the airfare. So we try to keep the price around $3,500, but about $2,000 of that is the airfare, right? So we don't have much control over that. Most of the trip they're staying with the host families, which saves the money, and the host families feed them dinner, right? And we take care of usually lunch with our activities during the day, and so that's the price includes all of their airfare and all of their lodging, and some of the things like if we need a ticket to this museum or that museum, that's a part of that base price. And then the only extra money they need is if they want to buy an extra soda somewhere, or souvenirs to bring home, that kind of thing.
I think it'll be cool, to go to a totally different country at that age, just to see how they live, how they travel, and just the different cultures at that particular age. And I think Rome does a good job with trying to open that window or open that door for those kids like that.
Now, I don't see why you couldn't go along and catch up with your friends from school.
I mean, I would love to. I don't know the qualifications, and it may be something that I have to look at to see. I do have a couple of friends across the country and across the world, and it would be good just to reach out to them, let them know I'm in Japan. So
I'll put you down on the interested in being a chaperone list. I tell you, I learned how to count to 8 with great frequency on that trip. You had to make sure all the kids got on every bus, every train on the plane, but we didn't leave any behind. I'm very proud of us. We didn't have any dramas.
That's good.
No health problems. Sometimes a kid will get the flu or something like that. So always those things you have to think about.
This trip and the group that puts it together, is that the same organization that puts together the International Festival.
It is. It is. We are stretched really thin. So that's another way that even if you are not a middle schooler or a parent with a middle schooler, if you just are interested in creating these kind of cultural exchanges, we'd love for you to be a part of our Rome International Association. We don't have dues. We try to schedule monthly meetings, maybe not quite every month, but to get all these things planned, the more the merrier. So we would love new people to step up and be involved.
That event is it in the spring?
In the spring it is.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So you got a little while.
Yes,
to worry
before
about
that. But again, anyone who knows families with middle schoolers, please spread the word, because it takes a lot of people being interested before you come up with that, 8 to 12 who can actually go and their families put together the money to be able to go.
And well, at least my experience is that travel like this is truly life-changing.
It is.
In good ways, in good
very
positive
good
ways.
way, right? And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for students who are willing to step out of their comfort zone, and adults too who are going. I told myself I'm kind of a picky eater, and I told myself whatever they put in front of me, gonna eat it, gonna try it. And I learned how to use chopsticks. I was very proud of myself.
Well, they have McDonald's in Japan.
They do. They do. That's not where we ate.
That's good. That's good. You could do that here. You don't need to do that
here. Yeah. That's right. I was very proud of myself. And again, that's what we told the students too. Like, just try new things.
Right.
One of my favorite parts about our trip is a young lady who, if you can imagine this, had never had watermelon. And we got watermelon right out of a watermelon patch. And you think, the child was in heaven. She was so excited.
I just look around in our society and see all the things that are from Japan. And it's more than what we think. Whether it's your eyeglasses or these ink pens, a lot of the things. And like I said earlier, how the world is global now. Right. It's good to see those things. You may want to come up with a brand of tennis shoes.
I've been thinking about it.
But things like the technology and the anime and a lot of those characters, again, middle schoolers really relate to that.
Yeah.
So, and they really believe in cute in Japan too, which is a good word for middle schoolers.
And the Facebook page is Rome International Association.
Yeah, and wendy4rome@gmail.com is how you can reach me.
All right. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
We'll give you some of those particulars again after this break. Don't go away.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals,
with opportunities outside the classroom,
where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the University System of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Rome City Commissioner Wendy Davis about the student exchange program to Japan, which is coming up in the spring, the end of school year. They're looking for, is it 8 to 12?
8 to 12.
8 to 12 students.
Middle schools.
Middle school students and possible family chaperones that might want to go along with Victor to Japan. And if you want more information, go to Facebook, Rome International Association on Facebook, or you can email Wendy Davis at wendy4rome@gmail.com. You really ought to consider this.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to look into it. I don't know how much money I have to raise, but...
Oh, somebody will pay for you.
You'll help me out.
Oh, of course I will.
All right.
Thank you for being with us this time on Community Watch. We will see you next time. Bye now.